about stay-at-home mom life. Let's talk about working mom life. Let's talk about the fact that even going into motherhood, there is this unspoken problem. And in fact, it was captured very beautifully as the problem that has no name. So let's look at the fact that trauma within stay-at-home mom life is a very, very real reality for some of us. And yet we can choose to move into a freeing state. So if we've not already connected, hi, my name is Lydia, and I'm all about helping you as a woman, as a mom, to be able to show up fully for yourself and to do so unapologetically. And when it comes to stay-at-home mom life, this is one of those areas that's not talked about. One, because it feels like a bit of a stigma of sorts of, I have the privilege, I have the ability to be at home, I have the ability to be with my children full time. I don't need to necessarily be concerned about bringing in an income. So it would seem pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It would seem pretty selfish to say that I don't feel fulfilled or this is not satisfying because clearly everything else is taken care of for me physically, right? There's also the fact that those who are working and transitioning into being at home feel a bit of that tug and that shift as well of, I'm going from this workplace where I showed up, did the work, did the things, do it amazingly, and now I'm home with a 2-month-old and I don't know what in the world I'm doing. And yet somehow I'm supposed to magically have it figured out because it looks like these other moms have it magically figured out. Totally understand that, okay? Here's the reality. When it comes to stay-at-home mom life, when it comes to even just showing up in motherhood, it is a transition. It is difficult. It is something new. And just because it's not something that you've necessarily experienced before doesn't mean that somehow you should have all the pieces already together. We do not should on ourselves. You do not should on yourself, okay? We just release that. We recognize that for some of us as females, as women, nurturing and caring for and being present with a little one is amazingly fulfilling. And that's great. And for others of us, not so much. And even if you start off in that camp where you have a newborn and it feels amazing, and then as they grow up, that you don't feel necessarily that same type of connection anymore, that's totally normal and okay too. What's most critical in terms of recognizing the potential of trauma is that it's an unexpected event that's happened that has now shifted things in such a way where any semblance of control is gone. Okay. And when you experience that trauma, it's not, we don't choose to cover it up. We don't choose to say, well, that's just how mom life is, or I should, again, should on myself about feeling like I'm not fully appreciative of having this little one. It's not that at all. It's instead saying, I recognize that things are not the way that I expected them to be. And that's okay. And the part that we do as a disservice, and I see it and I experience it even more now, is we're so disconnected, or we have the ability to be very disconnected from one another, to not be able to show up and to have communion with one another, to be able to talk about the things that are going on in our lives personally, outside of what's just happening with our son or our daughter or our twins or whoever it is that we're caring for. And as a result, we keep all of that conversation, all the things that are going on with us, because we are still human. You are still human. You still have good days, bad days. You're still learning. You're still growing. You still desire to do the things that you desire to do. But because we don't have a space to have those conversations, to let all of that mental space out, to be able to share that connection with others, that's where we end up creating a bit of a problem and we don't realize it. So number one, let this be a line in the sand that we are choosing to speak up. We are choosing to voice the fact that whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom or you're desiring to be a mother, all of those are very weighty places to be. And we can choose to make space for one another. We can choose to recognize that we may have experienced trauma, whether it was in trying to conceive, been there, whether it was working with a child, been there, or if it's transitioning to be home with your child full time, been there too. No matter what it is and where it is that we are, wherever it is that you are, I ask you and I invite you to, number one, honor yourself. Number two, to connect with someone, to have a conversation, to let them know what it is that you're experiencing. Because that is how we move into freedom within stay-at-home motherhood. That is how we move into freedom within motherhood, period. That's how we move into freedom with womanhood, with true humanity. But we focus right where we are. And it's the fact that when we choose to speak up, when we choose to voice our concerns, when we choose to seek out help, advice, connection, all of those pieces are part of what we're actually looking for. That's part of the problem that has no name, is the fact that we can easily find ourselves highly disconnected from ourselves and from each other when we enter the motherhood space. So let's change that around, right? Yes. Honoring yourself is so incredibly vital. Good to see you, Andrea. And so if this has been helpful for you, if this has helped you bring up a whole new way of thinking and perceiving what motherhood is, what motherhood could be, if this has allowed you to take a moment to breathe and go, okay, I'm not nuts. Because I really thought I was the only one out here who's just going, I love my kids. I'm so grateful I'm here. But at the same time, I could just use a, you're not crazy. I totally understand. And so I invite you to connect. If you haven't already done that, there is of course, a wonderful, phenomenal Facebook group. So if you want to connect there, we can do that. If you'd like to reach out, you can easily go to lydiaepic.com/links, all sorts of different ways to connect. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell so you know when new videos are coming on. No matter what, know that you are seen. Know that you are not alone. Know that you're not crazy and that you do have the choice to move in freedom. And I hope you choose to do that starting today. Talk to you later. Bye.